Hi y'all, this is actually take two. I'm sitting here peeling apples. I'm trying to make apple cakes today. I've got one in the oven, and I was trying to do some videos for you on the first cake, but it didn't work out. There were too many interruptions here, doors slamming, the telephone ringing like crazy, and I just couldn't do it. I had been trying to make this video for you, showing you, well, just clips of me making this apple cake, the first apple cake, actually, and it just didn't work out, and this one may not work out. So if it doesn't, I'm just going to post a photo of the finished apple cake and the apple cake in the description, and we'll just call it a day, because, I'm not a cooking channel, but this is ridiculous. I can't even do a short video or clips with all these interruptions going on here. But I told you my husband, he doesn't understand YouTube or videos or anything, but he comes in and out while I'm trying to film, and he doesn't understand all that is picking up on my videos, and I just have to stop them, and sometimes I can't even use them. But, bless his heart, we love him anyway, right? But anyway, another thing is, his brother actually had open heart surgery yesterday, and we were over to the hospital for about 10 hours yesterday, and we didn't get home till late, and we've been exhausted, but I think we are the home base for everybody to call and check on him. So the phone has been ringing off the hook. The phone's been ringing. My phone, because I'm the only one that's got like a phone that anybody can contact anybody on. Messages have been coming through, so that was interruptions too, and video calls and things. And I don't do video calls, but somebody's trying to video call me and everything, and so I had to stop my video because all these messages coming through. So it's just a conspiracy. I can't get my apple making videos up, and like I said, this may not even work either. So I've got one of the cake in the oven, and I'm trying to make a video of another cake, or I'm going to try to do clips. I'm just showing you some steps to make an apple cake. But like I said, if I can't do it, I'm just going to post a photo of the finished cake and maybe the recipe, and we'll call it a day. But I hope y'all are having a good day. Mine's hectic, but even on the hectic days, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to wake up. So yeah, but yeah, so I'm chopping my apples now. I've got some peeled. So yeah, that's what I'm doing today. Like I said, these apples, they don't wait on you. You've got to get them done. And with everything going on, us running back to the hospital and checking on him, and then he's trying to do things at his brother's house to keep things running. And neither one of us is in the best health. We are worn to a frazzle, but that's okay. You've got to help your family out and do things. That's what it's all about. It's helping people, right? So if, I don't know if I'm going to get to make as many cakes as I wanted to, because, like I said, unexpected things come up. But I'm going to try to make as many as I can. But, I can always cook them up and put them in the freezer and use them later, or just, dice them up and vacuum seal them and put them in the freezer for later in the winter and use them. And I've got an upcoming appointment next week that I have to go out of town for, and there's just so many things going on. But yeah, but it's good chatting with you today when I'm, chopping my apples up and peeling them and trying to get these apple cakes made today. We all have hectic days, don't we? That's what life's about. And we struggle through them, but we make it always. So yeah, so I'm going to pause this video, and hopefully I'll be back with some clips if I can. I can't make any promises because my husband's outside, but I'm sure he's going to be coming in at any time. So if I can get videos up, I will. If I can't, hopefully at the end of this, there will be a photo of the finished cake and the recipe. But I will tell you, this cake is called an apple walnut cake, and I got the recipe for this years ago in a raisin made booklet. They used to send these out every year, and I don't know if they still do that or not. But the recipe actually was called back then a going back to school cake, and so I just changed it into just an apple walnut cake. And there are different things you put in it, but raisins is one of them, and you can omit the raisins if you don't like raisins. But there's walnuts in it, but you can actually add pecans in it if you like pecans better than walnuts. I've tried it both ways, and it's delicious both ways. And I add applesauce in mine. The original recipe didn't call for applesauce, but I do add applesauce into it because when I made it the first time, it was just a little bit dry. So adding that applesauce into it, gives it a little bit moisture, makes it a little bit moist. And it's really good. And something that it didn't call for it was apple pie spice. And I added just a little bit of apple pie spice into mine, and it just gives it just a little bit more apple pie taste, even though it's an apple cake. And it's really good. So hopefully in my clips I can explain this a little bit more if I get to do the clips. So I'm going to get on with making this, so hopefully I can get it done. So yeah, so let's get on with it. Okay everyone, so we have our ingredients here for this apple raisin walnut cake. I like to get all my ingredients assembled, and so it calls for 3 cups of self-rising flour. So it's important that you use self-rising flour, and 1.5 cups of sugar. So this is a 1.5 cup, cup. There's a 1.5 cup of sugar in here, and if you're diabetic or you just don't want to use sugar, I'm sure that you can probably come up with some kind of sugar alternative. And it calls for 2 teaspoons of sugar, ground cinnamon, and 1/4 a teaspoon of nutmeg. And it calls for 3/4 of a cup of raisins. So I've already got them measured out in my 3/4 cup spoon. So this is a 3/4 cup. And if you don't like raisins, you can omit the raisins. Some people don't like raisins. So the cake tastes just as good without raisins. And like I said, I added applesauce to this cake. So I put in 1/2 cup of applesauce. It makes it a little bit moisture because, like I was telling you, when I first made my first cake using the original recipe, it was just a tad bit dry. So I started using 1/2 cup of applesauce. And it calls for 1.5 cup chopped nuts. And this is a cup, but I added another 1/2 cup to that. So this is a heaping amount here. So this does equal 1.5 cup chopped nuts. This is walnuts, but you can use pecan, or I call them pecan. Some people call them pecans. It depends on where you're from. We call them pecans here. So you can add pecans to them, and I've made it both ways before when I was running short of walnuts, and pecans taste just as delicious. So that is 1.5 cups. Sometimes, if I've got extra walnuts, I'll just add in more, and 2 cups works really good. So, and 1 cup of oil. Now you can use olive oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, whatever you have. Any kind of oil works great. And 3 eggs beaten. You don't have to get your mixer out. Just take a fork and beat your eggs up. And that's what I did, and it works great. You're not going to use your mixer on this recipe anyway. It's going to be done by hand. And because this makes a really thick mixture, and, I do it by hand. And 3 cups of apples. And I need to get my apples over here, so hold on just a minute. So I've got my apples over here. I can't believe I forgot to bring my apples over here, and that's the main ingredient in this cake. But that's the kind of morning I'm having. So this is 3 cups of apples. You can add a little bit more apples if you want to have a more chunkier apple walnut cake. I do that sometimes, and it's really good. So I've got all my ingredients here, and I'll be getting ready to put them in a bowl and mix them up. So hopefully I can do you another clip, and everything in a bowl. So let me get everything ready for that. Okay, so we have added the flour, the sugar, the nutmeg, cinnamon, raisins, and walnuts in a large bowl. So what we have to do now is we have to mix this up really well. We have to make sure we get those walnuts and raisins good and coated with that flour. But we have to get everything mixed up. Did you see that flour? It just went flying. Let's get it all mixed up. Y'all may have noticed I'm a lefty. I'm left-handed. And I sling stuff everywhere. So let's get this mixed up really good. And then once you get it mixed up, you form a well in the center. And you'll see why in just a second. Okay, once you get your well formed, or a hole, whatever you want to call it, you add your oil. And your eggs that you've already beat up. And vanilla. And I never measure vanilla, but like I said, it calls for 2 teaspoons. Yeah, I'm going to use this one over here since it's already opened. I just usually add two capfuls, which is usually 2 teaspoons. And then, let's see what else. I'm going to go ahead and add my apples now. My apples and applesauce. Like I said, I'm not a cooking channel, so I'm not all that organized, but we'll get the job done, won't we? So this part gets a little difficult because this makes a really thick mixture. So you have to really stir this up. And I'm going to pause it until it gets stirred up, and I'll show you what it looks like after it's all stirred up. Okay guys, it's all mixed up, and as you can see, this is a thick mixture. So if you happen to make it and it comes out really thick, don't worry about it. It's supposed to be thick. See how thick it is? But it is a really nice, chunky texture. As you can see, there's apples in there, raisins, and walnuts, and all kinds of delicious spices in there. And in my other clip, I don't think I showed you the apple pie spice. So I add some little bit of apple pie spice, maybe just a half a teaspoon, because you already have cinnamon in there and nutmeg, and you don't want to really overwhelm it. So if you want to leave the nutmeg out and just add apple pie spice, it's fine. But if you want to have the nutmeg and cinnamon, just add maybe a half a teaspoon of apple pie spice. It just kind of ramps it up a little bit and gives it a little bit more apple, apple flavor. And you don't even have to, use the apple pie spice at all. You may not even notice any difference. I didn't use apple pie spice for, a long, long time. And I just happened to see that one day and thought, that might taste good in my apple pies. So I used it. And it's good. So I put my apple cakes in a Bundt pan, but you can use any kind of pan. You can use a square pan or even a loaf pan. So I'm going to pour it in here. And I usually try to even it out some. And then I'm going to pop it in the oven, and it usually takes about a good 60 minutes for this to get done. And after I pop it in the oven, and after a while, I'll show you what it looks like completely done. So hopefully I can do a video and show you and talk and show you it's completely done, but if I can't, I'll just show you a photo, because like I said, my husband, he's outside now, but he's been coming in and out, and you know, it may be too distracting with the noise of the door opening in and out. So if I can't do a video, I'll just show you a photo of the finished product. So this is what it looks like in the Bundt cake. So I'm going to pop it in the oven, and I'll either come back with another video of the finished product, or I'll just post a photo. So we have taken the cake out of the oven, and it has cooled down for just a little while, and I have put it on a plate, my fall plate, and this is what it looks like. You can actually put an icing on this if you want, but it's actually really delicious without an icing. But what I do sometimes is I drizzle it. You can make like a kind of like a powdered sugar type icing with powdered sugar, a little bit of milk, and drizzle it over it. Or you can actually take like a vanilla icing, or cream cheese icing is really good on this cake. Just buy a can of cream cheese icing out of the store, microwave it, and just take your spoon and fancy drizzle it all over it. Just pick your drizzles all over it, and it is really good and delicious. But for now, I think I'm just going to have no icing on it, because I think this is just really good with no icing. I might try to slice into it. I think I bumped the camera, and show you what it actually looks like when it's sliced. And put it on a plate. I'll move this out of the way and show you. Let me see if I can get that in the camera view. Can you see that? You can see the apple chunks and the raisins in there and the walnuts in there. This is a good fall cake. My husband loves to have this with coffee in his mornings, and in the mornings with his coffee. And I make this cake to send up to his elderly uncle, and he loves it every year. And I just make it for different people. It's just a good cake to snack on. But it is really good with coffee, tea, or something like that on a cold fall day. And I can't believe I got through some of these clips without being interrupted. So I'm going to try to put them together, and hopefully in the next few days or so I can put them up. And thank you all for joining me while I made the cake today. You don't know what I went through to try to get these clips done. So everybody have a good day. And enjoy yourselves, and I will talk to you later.